The U.S. military budget is now $695 billion. China is number 2 at $120 billion. We're about a 6-to-1 ratio over our closest competitor. Jesus, how much money do you need us to spend on nukes and defense spending before your friends that are defense contractors are happy enough?
Well, first of all, remember that domestic spending has been growing promiscuously under Obama, right? He's added $5 trillion to the national deficit. If he had a second term, you can assume he'll add $5 trillion more.
Let's talk about that. All right, we're going to take it one issue at a time, okay? So when you mention the $5 trillion, you know that a great majority of that was leftover from the Bush administration, left a $1.2 trillion.
What do you mean by leftover?
I'll tell you
what do you
exactly.
mean leftover?
Well, I'm going to explain it to you. $1.2 trillion per year when Obama came into office. That's because of the giant tax cuts that your friends got, the incredibly rich. That's because of the giant defense contracts that your friends got. That's because of the oil subsidies. That's because of the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan that you were in favor of, the entire Republican Party was in favor of. $1.2 trillion a year left by Bush.
First of all, a president should take responsibility for the budgets that go under there. You know, you can't say that Obama for 5 years is simply carrying on the Bush legacy. Obama has had a chance to leave his imprint both on foreign policy and on domestic policy. He's the one who has taken the Palestinian position on Israel. He's the one who's telling the Egyptian military...
Only if it were
you better... Hold on. Cenk, laughing is not an argument. He's the one who tells the Egyptian military, you better turn over power to the Muslim Brotherhood or we'll cut off U.S. aid. These are
those are things that are empirically not true. First of all, Ehud Barak, the Israeli...
Empirically not true.
Yes, Ehud Barak, the Israeli defense minister, said President Obama has been more friendly to Israel than any president in his lifetime. And they asked him specifically, you mean all the presidents? He said, all the presidents. So you tell me you know better than the defense minister of Israel on whether President Obama has been great to Israel or not? Second of all, on Egypt, he didn't say hand the power over to Muslim Brotherhood. He said have a democracy, which is what I thought you guys were in favor of when you invaded Iraq. And now we have one and you find it inconvenient.
Well, there was a big pro-democracy movement in Iran in 2009, demonstrations just as big as Tahrir Square, except this was a pro-democracy movement that was pro-American and against the mullahs. What did Obama do? He said, let's stay out. Let's let the Iranians solve their own problems. So why does Obama intervene to overthrow an American ally, Mubarak?
Are you suggesting that President Obama is pro-mullah? Is that what you're suggesting?
No, I'm suggesting that Obama wants to reduce America's footprint on the world because he thinks we are stepping on the world.
Okay, now where do you get that from? Because let me show you a chart here of spending that we do on aid across the world. Because one of your theses in the book is, my God, oh my God, we're giving so much money and everything else to the rest of the world, we're downsizing America. In reality, here's the spending. Afghanistan, Iraq, and Israel are the top 3 recipients at 7.9, 3.6, and $2.8 billion. Then the rest is basically a pittance. It's not even anywhere near 1% of our budget. So we spend an incredibly small amount of money in foreign aid, and most of it goes to the countries we've either invaded or are allies with in military aid. So how are we helping the rest of the world with our generous aid?
Well, first of all, in neither of my books about Obama nor in my film do I mention foreign aid. I think that Obama is using debt to saddle future generations with obligations to foreign countries. So he is a global redistributor,
did you write
but
this
not
about
foreign
Bush?
aid.
Now, you agree that Bush left us huge debt, right? Did you write all these books and documentaries about how evil Bush was for saddling us with this debt? How dare he do that?
First of all, lots of conservatives were critical about Bush for spending.
You.
Second, hold on, let me finish. The largest Bush deficit was $500 billion. The lowest Obama deficit is $1 trillion.
Untrue.
So Obama has untrue?
$1.2 trillion. Please look it up. When Obama got into office, Bush left him a $1.2 trillion deficit in his last year.
No, that's in his last year. You mean 2009?
2008.
2008, America's deficit was under $500 billion. It was Obama who carries that on to an over $1 trillion deficit.
Are you saying that when President Obama got into office that the deficit was $500 billion when, in fact, everyone acknowledges it was $1.2 trillion? Is that the claim you're making?
Everyone acknowledges? Wait a second. We're talking about a carryover year, and you're basically trying to saddle Bush with an Obama deficit. Look, to some sense, I suppose, the economic nosedive, which Bush supported, the bailout, and so did Obama, that's a transitional phase. We can put that aside. But let's average the Bush deficits over 8 years, and they don't total the amount that Obama has had in 4 years in deficits.
So why did you never cry about the giant deficits that your wars in Iraq and Afghanistan created? Why did you never cry about the $2.5 trillion you added to the deficit for the tax cuts for the rich who paid you at the American Enterprise Institute, who paid you at the Hoover Institution, who now pay you at the King's College, who probably paid you for your books and your documentaries? Why did you never complain about that when the giant deficit-creating tax cuts and wars went to your friends?
Well, first of all, you're actually making yourself silly now. I was a scholar at the American Enterprise Institute. My documentary is being watched, is being watched by tens and hundreds of thousands of people paying $10 at the theater.